this computer. Okay, so now please, was there anybody, I asked you to do the evens or everything on here. Does anybody want something? Go.
No.
Anybody have any questions on any of this stuff right here as we go down? Tell me, Jocelyn.
Can I just see 28?
Yeah, let's take a quick look at 28. See how you're doing on that. So find the x-intercept and the y-intercept. So when somebody asks you to find the x-intercept, you must remember the y value is 0. All right, if the y value is 0, you should be able to mentally put that in and say x equals what?
2.
Right. So then if you're thinking about it, you're just going to write 2, 0. All right. Now, if the x is 0, that tells you the y-intercept. So if x is 0, then the y-intercept is what?
Negative.
-10. And then you just plot 2, 0, 0, -10, and just graph the line. All right. We don't really graph using intercepts anymore, but I can tell you that a big part of the SAT and ACT is understanding intercepts. All right. So whenever somebody asks you about the x-intercept, the y value is 0. And whenever somebody asks you about the y-intercept, x is 0. Yes. Let's look at 42. Let's look at 42. Thank you very much. All right. So now, personally, I would not solve this using intercepts. All right. I just don't like doing that. All right. So everybody should be able to transform this. Now, because you guys are smart, we're going to keep the y positive. So I'll throw this over here and this over here. Do we agree?
Yeah.
So I have 3y equals 7x minus 12, right? And so y equals 7/3 x minus 4. Well, then you got it what? Then you got it wrong.
Don't you have to put the 3 right on the other side, so you subtract and add the 12?
What did you just say? If you move the 7x, it becomes -7x, right?
Yeah.
But then you divide by -3. -7 divided by -3 is positive 7/3. No, you understand what I just said or not?
Yeah, I just don't understand how I did it. Because I got like.
Well, I know that's why you're looking at my work. Don't look at your work if your work is wrong. That's what I'm trying to show you guys. All right, don't worry about your work. Look at mine. I don't like y being negative, so I just move this over. That makes it positive 3y, right? And the reason why I do that is for your very reason. You made a mistake with negatives. That's why I don't do that. I don't like dealing with negatives. So I immediately look at the y and say, if it's negative, I move that so I don't have to worry about the other signs. You agree with that? And now I move the 3y and the 12, and now I have 7x minus 12, and I'm just dividing by 3 instead of -3. Less chance for me to make an error. Do you agree with that? Now, do I need to show you how to graph that or just not? We good with graphing or not? Okay, anybody have any questions with that? All right, come on, someone else, give me something else on this. Anybody on any of this? Everybody's remembering. All right, that's great news. All right, great news. All right, we kind of left off at 43, so let's check out 44. Let's do some SAT problems, make sure you're in good shape. All right, take out your graphing calculator real quick. Come on, chop, 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 chop. We got a lot of work. All right, now let's just say, all right, and when I work on the SATs, I never do anything on my own if I know I can use my calculator, okay? So I'm really trying to teach you, and this year, the SAT is all calculator, all right? Your ACT is all calculator, all right? So when you guys, when you go and take the SAT and ACT, the more you know about your calculator, the better equipped you are to be super successful. All right. That's my goal, is to make sure you can do this. Now, I'm sure you forgot 100%. I'm sure you forgot. All right. So that's why we're refreshing. I'm sure everyone in here can look and say, well, I know the slope of this line. All right. The slope is just 18 minus 15 over 1 minus 0. 18 minus 15 is 3. 1 minus 0 is 1. So the slope has to be what? 3. And the y-intercept is what? 15. Therefore, we knew the answer was H without doing any work. All right. Again, right? In order to write the equation of a line, you need a slope and a y-intercept. The y-intercept is the b value. Y equals mx plus b. Anything you forgot, you should write down. All right, anything you forgot, you should write down. All right. That's the equation, y equals mx plus b. Now, b is referred to as the what again? And the y-intercept is when x is 0, or what you start with. Thank you. That's the initial amount. Those are the words you should be thinking about. The y-intercept is the initial amount. So the initial amount is what? 15. All right. So right off the bat, I knew it was either f or what? H. Now, do we agree the slope is not 1 because we're increasing by 3 and increasing by what? 1. Your brain should be able to say, well, I'm just adding 3 each time. So I know the slope is 3. Does everybody agree? So that's not a difficult problem. All right, not difficult at all. Hard to believe that's on like a college entrance exam. All right, it's embarrassing actually. All right. So now what I'm asking you, now we're going to practice with our calculator because it's not always easy. So everybody has to hit the stat button. All right. Once you hit, who doesn't have a calculator? Why?
I don't know.
Come on, man. We haven't been using it. All right. That's not an excuse. Bring it every day. All right. You got a little bit of power. When that's done, put it back there for me. All right. What? My thing isn't working. What is my thing isn't working? What? What are you talking? I'm asking, I don't know what that means. My thing is dead. So what do you think that means? So now you have to replace the batteries. All right. So if you want, you can go up to Miss Linda real quick and ask her if she has any batteries. Or hold on, let me see if I have this one. Come on, silly question is that. Come on, Ava. All right, that's annoying. All right, I don't have an extra one. What? Yeah, come get your iPad. Nice smooth move yesterday leaving it. All right, go up and Miss Linda say, do you mind if I have some batteries? She might. All right, they're AAA. No, I'm not talking to you. Get going. I know, you're bad. Let's go. What?
I don't think I need for this problem, but like here, it just keeps on showing up as decimals whenever not decimals, fractions, when it should show up as decimal.
Just let's go.
Okay,
Come
thank
on.
you.
You guys are killing me with your calculators. All right, here we go. Stat. Everybody hit stat. All right, now when you want to calculate the line, it's stat, then edit. All right, stat edit. L1 should pop up. And L2 should be also. L1 are the X values. L2 are the Y values. Yes, we did this last year. All right. Don't look at me like I'm crazy. Follow along. If you don't know, immediately tell me. Like if you can't find stat, all right, there's nothing I can do for you. You have to find STAT on the calculator. You hit that button. All right. Once you hit that button, edit. There's a list of things. You hit edit, enter. L1 should pop up and L2 should pop up. Under L1, you type in the X values. Under L2, you type in the Y values. This is the X up here. This is the X. This is the Y. Now, once you're done with that, you can tell me. Type those in quickly. You good? Stat. Come on, I'm not playing around. Hit the stat button. Did you hit stat? Do you see edit? Then you hit enter. Then L1 and L2 come up on your screen. L1, type in the X's. L2, type in the Y's. Does anybody have any issues with this? Zach, are you with me?
Yeah.
All right. Jocelyn, you got it? All right. Now, after that, we want the calculator to create the line. All right. So now we go to stat, hit stat again. Now we go over to calc. And once we're at calc, we do number 4. It says equation or line reg. All right. That's just the terminology they use for creating The regression line is what it's called. So hit that. And then hit enter all the way through, and it should spit out the answer to you. All right, what does it say? Now, if I was writing this calculator, if I was in charge, A should be what letter? M. Thank you. All right, B is okay, but A should be M because M is the slope. All right, that's universal. All right, so that's how you use a calculator to write the equation. Now, because we had one lost soul, we'll go super slow for her. All right, did you get batteries? All right, stat, edit. L1 and L2 are the X values and the Y values. Did you type them in? Hurry up, let's go. They're right here on the board if you need them. And look, if you have a slow memory, right, and you don't think you're going to remember the steps, you need to write the steps down and practice. I think the calculator is set up efficiently, which means it's kind of intuitive, right? I'm trying to find the line using my statistics. So that helped me remember to stat and then click over to calc, stat, click over to calc, number 4, line reg, hit enter all the way through, and it spits out the answer. All right, we're good. All right, everybody should know how to do that on your calculator. Everybody should know how to do that on your calculator. There will come a time where you're doing SAT questions and it'll say line of best fit. That's how you do it. All right, and we did it last year, trust me. All right, so now let's move on. All right, here we go. What is the slope-intercept form of 9x minus y minus 5? All right, slope-intercept form, if you forgot, is just what format? Someone tell me. Y equals mx plus b. So the only thing we need to do on this problem is move what? Move the y. Again, embarrassing for a college entrance exam. All right. So what is that? Y equals what? Yep, we are brilliant. H. Moving on. All right, let's try the next one. Again, what is the slope? Everybody calculate that slope real quick. Mentally, you don't have to do an equation. You should be looking at, say, I went down and to the right. All right. How much should I go down and how much should I go to the right? It doesn't matter what 2 points you pick. All right. But just pick 2 points. Draw on your iPad. I went down and to the right. And everyone can tell me my slope is obviously what? Yes, -3/2. Now, I know I'm in a hurry because I have a lot to do. If you're sitting there going, the guy's crazy, I have no idea how I got -3/2, then just let me know. Anybody have any problems with that being -3/2? Come on, this is important. It's a good review for those of you guys who are going to take your, entrance exam into your private schools. That's all going to be there. All right, you got to remember this stuff. All right, here we go. 47. Let's have some more fun. All right, this one's kind of a trick question, but the slope of a vertical line compared to the slope of a horizontal line, which would you say is greater?
One of them,
Right, right. The slope of a vertical line compared to the slope of a horizontal line. Now, I don't really care what you think about this. I just want to try to think about it. All right, it's not going to be on the test. But this slope right here is 0. Do we agree? So that compared to that, which one's bigger? The top one. Now what? This right here, which one's bigger? Yeah, some people think the horizontal. All right, but slope, right? Believe it or not, I want you to think of this. Slope is an absolute value. All right, when you're making a comparison, would you rather walk on this mountain or would you rather walk on this mountain?
the flat one.
Yeah, the flat one, right? That's how I relate it. That slope is smaller, so it'd be easier to walk on. Do we agree? All right. So if I ask you to walk on this mountain right here, top, you would say that's going to be pretty impossible, right? All right. But would you say that's as steep as your slope can possibly be? That's as great as it can be. All right, so in my opinion, if someone asked me this question, I would say that slope of A is greater, even though the numerical value is what? Undefined. The numerical value is undefined. We're not going to argue about it. All right, it would be just as if I said, this is a positive slope or a negative slope. Negative. This is a what right here? Which one's steeper? The negative slope, even though this slope is negative and this slope is positive. Do we agree with that? All right. So again, all right, think of slope as an absolute value when you're making a comparison about the steepness. We agree? All right. That's a really tough question. All right. Just a good thinking question. All right. Over here, the slope of the given line or the y-intercept. What do we got, guys? Or what? So which one's bigger? A. All right. This is to help you with your ERBs. All right. This is to help you with your ERBs. All right. Next, 49. What is the, again, these are all SAT questions. This is an SAT question. How embarrassing. It just says, what's the y-intercept? What is it? Yeah, I'm agreeing, guys. It's embarrassing. All right. That's how easy SATs are. All right. Number 50. All right. What is the slope? Calculate that real quick mentally. Well, let's not do it mentally then. All right. Let's use a calculator. What is it? We agree 11/3, right? Now, for me, I calculate, do I want to do -7 minus 4 or do I want to do 4 minus -7? I would prefer to do 4 minus -7 because now that becomes what? Positive. All right. So hopefully you're agreeing that it is D. All right. Moving forward. All right. Now we're back to normal. All right. Write the equation of line in point slope form. So now, obviously, I'm expecting you've forgotten a lot of this. All right. But this is a review. All right. So point slope, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. That is the point slope form. So everybody make sure you write that down. That's your format. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Your m is your what? X1 and y1 is your what? Is your what? Point. Thank you. All right. Your x1 and y1 are your point. If you don't know that, you could write under -1. That is x1. We agree? And under 5, that's the what? Y1. All right. Is everybody with me on this? All right. So here we go. Now, I've got y what?
-5
Equals.
2/3 times x plus 3.
Yes, and that's all they're asking for. All right. Anybody have any issues with that? Okay. Now 52 says write it in slope intercept. What is that slope intercept? Y equals mx plus b. So I taught you last year, it's much easier to do point slope and then convert point slope to slope intercept. All right. So everybody write in point slope first. What is point slope? Y plus 4 equals. Beautiful. All right. Y plus 4 equals -2 parentheses x minus 7. All right. Now we would be done if this was question 51, but we're writing it in slope intercept. So now we just distribute and subtracting 4. Now, again, on a test, you may not want to do all that work at once, but when we're practicing mental math, it's good. Y equals -2x. Then we distribute and that becomes a what? Plus 14. And then we say, no. Then we say after 14, we say -4. All right. So that's just what? So there we have it. Y equals -2x plus 10. So I distribute the -2 and call that 14. And then 14 minus 4, which is what? 10. Everybody's good with that? All right. I'm happy. 53. Now standard form. Everybody needs to write in standard form. Remember, AX plus BY equals C. Now, this is the one that we just barely learned. All right. And I said, it's not all that important because we don't get really any information from it. But for some reason, they like to use standard form on some exams. All right, so you have to know standard form. Now, there were some rules that you're not allowed to have what? Fractions, and a must be positive. All right, so a has to be greater than 0, and you have to say there are no fractions. There's actually one rule where we say a, b, and c are relatively prime, but that doesn't really come up that frequently. All right, so I just like to tell kids, make sure a is greater than 0, which just means a is positive, and you have no fractions. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is write as point slope. Do we agree? So if I write that as point slope, tell me what that is. Yes. And I'm going to go ahead and put y minus 0 just for my purpose. If you don't want to put y minus 0, of course, you don't have to, but I'm doing it just to show you. Y minus 0 equals -6 times. Beautiful, beautiful. All right. So now I can drop the 0. So I have y equals -6x minus 30, right? And now x and y are on the same side. Do we agree? So we just say what? Plus y equals -30. Honestly, if you can do all this, you're better than probably 80% of the high school kids. All right, it's embarrassing. All right, you have to be great at writing equations of lines, and most people can't. All right, there's 3 simple little things, 3 kind of equations you have to remember. All right, anybody have any questions with standard form, slope intercept, or point slope? All right, point slope is the absolute one that most people use now. That's pretty much the standard. All right, here we go, 54. All right, write the equation. Now, what's the problem here? I don't have the what? I don't have the slope. All right, so now remember last year you asked me point slope, and then all of you were upset about, does it matter what point you choose when you're writing in point slope? No, the equations look different, but are they different? No, they just are at a different what? Point. All right, so let's do our mental math. Our slope equals 10 minus 7, 3, -1 minus 6. Right, so now we're going to say it's like -3/7. All right, is everybody happy with that? All right, make that easy for yourself, really easy. All right, now point slope. Point slope, you can either write y minus 7 equals -3/7 times x minus 6, or you can say y minus 10 equals -3/7 times x plus 1. Do those look the same to the average person? They do not look the same to the average person, but we are not average. So we know those are what? That's exactly the same line. That's exactly the same line, even though it doesn't look like it. All right. You're just writing the equation from a different point. That's why it looks different. And if you're not convinced about what I'm saying, just convert this to y equals mx plus b, convert this to y equals mx plus b, and then you'll notice what?
They're the same.
Exactly the same. It's exactly the same. All right. Anybody have any issues with that? All right. Super important. All right, here we go. Write the equation line in slope intercept form. All right, so this one's a little bit more annoying because we have to put it in y equals mx plus b. But of course, we're going to do point slope first. So what is the slope? Someone's calculating the slope for me. 6/2, which we're going to call what? 3. So the slope is 3. Is everybody with me on that? All right. So now what I want someone to do is I want someone to do 3/7 and I want someone to do 5/13 so I can show you it's the same. All right. So I'm going to write 5/13. If you wanted someone to do make sure you're doing 3/7. So y minus 13 equals 3 times x minus 5. Now I need it in slope intercept, so I distribute the 3 and then I add 13. So y equals 3x. I say to myself minus 15. And then I add 13, so I have -2. All right, so if you got that for 3/7, now you understand that it's the same line. All right, it's the same line. All right, so that's the answer to the problem. Anybody have any issues with that? Everybody happy with that? All right, let's talk about the next one. All right, standard form. We have m equals, help me out with m.
So +3/2.
Anybody else get 3/2? If Now's the time. If you didn't get 3/2, you just say, help me out a little bit. I'm not sure where you're getting 3/2. All right, now we're gonna write in what? Standard form, and we have a fraction. So this is a little bit more tricky, but I'm trying to help you now with your fraction skills. So when I do this, if you get lost, you just tell me. All right, so first thing we're gonna do is just say y plus 1 equals 3/2 times x minus 1. Do we agree? I chose the first point because it seemed easier. Everybody okay with that? Now, the biggest mistake kids make is they put x and y in the wrong spot. So make sure you do that. Everybody's good? Now, are we allowed to have fractions? So that means I need to clear out the fraction by multiplying by 2. So if I multiply by 2, the left side becomes 2y plus 2. And if I multiply the right side by 2, the 2 and the divided by 2 do what to each other? Cancel out. Do I multiply both of them by 2? No, you don't. If I say 2 times 3 and I say multiply that by 4, you don't say, well, 2 times 4 and 3 times 4. You don't do that. It's just one of them is multiplied by 4. All right. So if I multiply the right side by 2, this cancels. And then I just distribute the 3. And what do I get? 3x minus 3. Now, is my x positive or negative? Positive. So I want that to what? Stay positive. So I move the 2y over. When I move the 2y over, that becomes 3x minus 2y. And I got to kick the 3 to the other side. So if I kick the 3 over, it becomes what? 5. So 3x minus 2y equals 5. That's how your brain should operate. All right, you should at this stage be able to move numbers around in your head. If you're not, you're just not practicing enough. All right, now I don't recommend that if you're pressured trying to make 100 on your test. You shouldn't do all that. All right, but we should be practicing that. Right, write out the work if you want 100. All right, or if you're like me and you're never wrong, then just do it in your head. All right, it doesn't matter. All right, you can flip things around, get more confident in doing that. All right. Anybody have any questions with that? We're good? All right, nice. If you know how to write an equation, you are in great shape. All right. So here we go. Uh-oh. Who remembers now what's true about lines that are parallel? They never intersect, but in the context of slopes and y-intercepts, what is? They have the same slope. Parallel lines have the same slope. Now look at parallel lines. I'm going to draw this line. Now I want you to think about this. This is my rise and this is my run. So we agree that's my slope. Now, just so you can visualize, what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to come down here and hopefully you can say those slopes are what? Those slopes are the same. And I just showed you the rise over run is what? The same, right? How do I know the rise over run is the same? Because if I take this and I slide it up, the rise over run is exactly what? The same. These are parallel lines. Parallel lines have the same slope. So if parallel lines have the same slope, do I care? Does this B function in any way? Do we care about that number? No, we don't. The only thing we care about this line is that we're going to take its what? We're taking its slope because the new line has that slope. The new line has that slope. Is everybody with me? So I'm using the slope of the parallel line is what? And it's passing through the point -7, -1. Now that's critical and some kids can't see that. Do you understand what I mean? I grab the slope from this line because slopes of parallel lines are equal and we're drawing it through this line. Is everybody good with that? Now, what form am I putting it in? Point slope. So I'm done. Y plus 1 equals 3 times x plus 7. Is everybody good with that? That's really not that hard. All right. Now I have to do slope intercept, which is kind of annoying. All right, because I like point slope because it's just quick. All right. So what's the slope of the parallel line? -2 passing through 5, -3. So now quickly write the first equation. Come on, quick. Try to beat me. All right, anybody have any problem with that? That's the point slope, but we look at our directions and it says slope intercept. So now I just got to solve it for y equals. So you should be able to say y equals, I distribute the -2, so that's -2x. Then I say to myself plus 10, and then I move the 3. So it's going to be 10 minus 3, which is what? There you have it, guys. -2x plus 7. Is everybody good with that? All right, I'm happy with that. Very happy. Anybody have any questions? No? All right, parallel in standard form. All right, so my slope of the parallel line is what? 3/5. All right, now, please look over here. Someone tell me what's special about this. So what is that called? The y-intercept. Thank you. It's called the y-intercept. So this problem can be a little bit quicker if you recognize that. You can just say the equation is y equals 3/5 x minus 1. Does everybody agree with that? Now, let's say you don't recognize that. You would just be writing it as y plus 1 equals 3/5 times x minus 0. Does everybody agree with that? You with me? Right? So does it matter if you recognize that or not? It makes no difference if you don't recognize. All right, because this is the standard right here. All right. Yes, quick, come on.
How'd you just know that it was 3/5 x minus 1?
Because y equals mx plus b. This is my y-intercept, which is the b value. You with me on that?
Mhm.
Right, but if you don't understand that, we can just put it in this format. Do we agree with this? What? Yes, we're putting it in standard form, absolutely. But I'm just trying to show you, bless you, there are quick ways of doing things, right? I want you to think through the problems.
Okay.
All right. So right now, it doesn't matter which one you chose. I'm just showing you my brain just immediately looked at that and said, well, that's an easy problem. It's just y equals 3/5 x minus 1. Now I got to say, okay, I want standard form. So I'm not allowed to have fractions. So I multiply everything through by 5, right? So I have 5y equals 3x minus 5. Does everybody agree with that? Does everybody agree with that? Now, moving the y and moving the 5, I have 3x minus 5y equals 5. That's the standard form. Okay.
So you did the thing where it's like y minus y.
Yes, I did that.
Yes, and then and then that you do 3/5 times x. How did you get both the y and the 3/5 x? Please.
Okay. Everybody's good with that. If you wrote it in this format, you could just distribute the 5 right off the bat, and you get 5y plus 5 equals 3x. Guess what? Nothing different. All right, 3x minus 5y equals 5. Everybody happy with that? All right, next thing we're reviewing is probably perpendicular. Nope, still parallel. We can do that. Still parallel. That's your homework. Okay, let's get to perpendicular. Okay, so who can tell me the slope of the perpendicular from last year? Yes, say it again. Yeah, the slopes of perpendicular lines are negative reciprocals. So the slope of this line, help me, is? No. The slope of that line is what? 3/4, correct? 3/4. So the slope of the perpendicular would be what? Beautiful, -4/3. Is everybody agreeing with that? And then from there, we write the equation. Go ahead. Y equals, beautiful. Y minus 3 equals -4/3 times x plus 5. And now, all right, we want it in point slope form. So guess what? We're done. That's it. All right. 64. Let's see how things are going. Write the equation line that is perpendicular. So the slope of the perpendicular is equal to what? Beautiful. Slope of the perpendicular is 3. All right. So now write the equation real quick. Come on. Y
Plus 3 equals 3.
how easy that is. All right, now we're just distributing, correct? And solving for y. Y equals, distribute. 3x minus 15, but then we what? Minus 3, so it'd be minus 18. Man, if you can do that next year, your teacher will think you are like a genius. Because most kids cannot do that. All right, it's embarrassing. All right, y equals 3x minus 18. Easy, correct? Yes, ma'am, go. What are we looking for? Shh, let her figure it out. What are we looking for? Perpendicular, right?
Oh, I think it's perfect.
Yes, all right. Perpendicular is the negative reciprocal. All right, so just to make sure we're good for 65, the slope of the perpendicular would be what? Negative 7/4. That is correct. Okay, now let's pretend like we didn't know this was the y-intercept and we just do point slope. All right, so that would be what?
Y or plus 1 equals -7/4.
Now, because we're smart, if we say x minus 0, that's kind of silly, right?
Yeah.
So we just write negative 7/4 what?
X plus
X. Well, you can put plus 0 if you want, but it'll look silly. So we just put 7 minus 7/4 x. Does everybody understand that? All right, now we're doing standard form, so we're allowed fractions. So I have to multiply by what? So 4y plus 4 equals negative 7x. Does everybody agree with that? So now, is my x negative? So I have to throw it to the other side. So my standard form is just equals -4. Okay, I'm listening.
So I did get like the y.
Yep, I'm listening.
4y plus 7x minus 4. And then 7x minus 4y.
Wow, it's hard to admit when you're wrong. I agree with you. So let's see what happened. All right, let's see if I'm wrong. All right, so you did, say it again, y equals. There's your mistake right there. Yeah. Right, Jocelyn corrected you. Stop. I was trying to. Wow, come on. I was trying to build up your self-esteem here by correcting Benji, and then you're like, you know what you meant. All right, here we go. All right, so I'm happy with all that. I'm happy with all that. Happy with all that. Oh, these are the ones that gave kids trouble last year. So if you're parallel to x equals 3, what kind of line is x equals 3? Vertical, right? So if you're parallel, that means you are what? Vertical. So the answer for this is just, thank you, x equals -4, right? We didn't ask about the slope. We asked about the line. All right. So if you are, now think about it. Y equals -4, correct? What kind of line is that? Horizontal. So if you are perpendicular to a horizontal, you would be what? Vertical. So everybody should be able to say the answer is x equals -9. Go ahead.
I don't get how you.
I know. Come on. You don't have to tell me you don't get something. Where are we at? What number?
69.
69. So x equals 3. What kind of line is that?
Up and down.
When you go to school next year and someone says x equals 3 and you tell them it's up and down, we're going to have some problems.
Vertical.
Vertical. That is called vertical when you are up and down. All right. So you are vertical. So if you are parallel to a vertical line, you will be what?
Vertical.
You will be up and down. That is correct. All right. So the answer is x equals. Correct? So what is the x value of the line? You are brilliant. There you have it.
Okay.
You with me? So horizontal lines are always y equals by itself. Verticals are always x equals. Okay? Yes or no?
Then y is 70. X equals -9.
Because I read the problem and it said perpendicular, not parallel. So if you're perpendicular, right? This is a horizontal line. This is vertical. We want it to be the vertical. So vertical x equals -9.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna give you one more chance. Let's look at 71. You're parallel to y equals -4. So what would be our answer? Shh, don't tell him. You are amazing. That's how easy it is, right? It's much better to understand, than trying to remember all this. All right. To me, it's just no brainer, right? If you know what you're doing, the math is simple. All right. Y equals -4. How do I know that's a horizontal line? Because if you draw a horizontal line at y equals -4, all of those y values are equal to what? -4. If you draw a vertical line, all of the x values are the same. All right. The y's can change, but the x remain the same. All right. Last chance. Write the equation of a line perpendicular to x equals 7. So if you're perpendicular to a what type of line? This is what? Vertical. So my perpendicular would be horizontal. Everybody's good on that. So if you're horizontal, you would be what? Come on, man. That's easy. Easy. All right, here we go. Let's flip the page. All right. More SAT stuff. All right. What time's the bell ring? All right, so we got some time. So you won't have much homework. All right, this is good. A line passing through the origin with a slope of 1/7. Which of the following point lies on the line? Okay, this was a good one, and most kids missed this one. All right, now to me, there was only one choice here. All right, like I didn't have to think much. I just knew what the answer was. All right, I would like everyone to consider this. All right, if you're confident, you think you know, I would like to know. What do you think? You are amazing. That is exactly correct. D is the only possibility. All right. Now, let's show you the mystery for some of you guys who are like, what are you talking about? All right. First and foremost, let's talk about this. It has to go through the what? Origin, right? And it has a slope of 1/7. That means you're going to go up 1 and over what?
7.
So this point right here would be what? 7, 1, right? You went up 1 and to the right 7. Do we all agree? So this point right here is 7, 1. Do we agree? So it's obviously can't be 0, 7, can't be 1, 7. It's definitely not 7, 7, right? So if I go up 7, or if I go up 1 and over 7 again, if I go over 7, that's going to be how many x's? 14, and up 1, that would be 2. So everybody with me on that? But I would hopefully you would just say, man, those other ones don't make any, especially A, right? If you have a point at the origin, 0, 7 wouldn't be. Does everybody agree how silly that is? Right? Everyone missed that. Not everyone, but a lot of people missed that. All right. So let's check out 74. All right. What does the C-intercept? I have no idea what that even means. C-intercept. I only know of a what? Y-intercept and a what? But they have it in a word problem. So the C-intercept is the same as the what? How do I know that? Because it kind of says that. You're right, right? Cost. So what is the C-intercept?
5.
Right? That's 5. Do we agree? Now, what does that represent? Thank you. Remember, we talked about that earlier. I said, someone even asked me, I think Ava said something about it. All right. The y-intercept is the initial cost. The y-intercept is the initial cost. All right. That's the beginning. All right. So again, that one was kind of easy if you knew the terminology. The correct answer was what? A. I don't have to do much work on this. If you knew what I was saying, they're asking about the y-intercept. The y-intercept is defined as the initial cost. So make sure you highlight A. All right. Which of the following represents the relationship between H and C? How did you get that so fast?
Because up is 3 over.
Everybody who put B, pat yourself on the back. You're wrong.
Yeah, so late.
Tell me why it's C.
Cause it's wide.
Look, guys, this is what the SAT will do to you. Look up. You went up 3 and over 4, but when you go up 4, you're actually only going over what? Come on, don't say what. Up 3 over 4, but 4 is actually what? 1. So that's why that was a correct answer. Good job if you got that. All right, finish up, finish up. There's not that much to do, guys. Great job today. I appreciate your attention. Put that on the charger for me. All right, who else borrowed a calculator? Don't walk out of here with my calculators. Great work today. Great work.